And we're back at the show once again, continuing on our theme of the top five in 2018. Again, on this week's show, we're going to go ahead and highlight the top five in professional wrestling. You heard from Chad Allen earlier. Now I want to get another perspective on the pro wrestling scene. He reached out to me when I requested for those that wanted to know more or wanted to give their thoughts on the professional wrestling scene and the top five in 2018. He is the host of Popanimecomics Lounge, which you can catch today on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and so many other different podcast outlets. I truly want to welcome a great guest today. It is Andrew Davis. How are you?
I am doing phenomenal. Thank you for having me on.
It's great to have you on, and thank you so much for adhering to my request for people that can come out and just share their thoughts on the professional wrestling scene. I spoke with Chad Allen earlier of the IndieCast, and he shared his thoughts on the top five in 2018. So I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the top five as well, because it just seems like there's so many great opinions out there. Not just wrestlers within the world wrestling entertainment, but also very much so outside of it. So I want to hear your thoughts. What is your top five in pro wrestling for 2018?
So my number five is Johnny Gargano, because the matches he's had even prior to, since really 2007, going all the way through 2018, every match he's had at an NXT takeover has just blown off the roof. And the guy is Johnny Wrestling. And whether he's a face or a heel, I can't help but want him to succeed. And the amount of work and effort the guy puts into wrestling, you can tell. And you could tell with every strike, every grapple, every move he does, and just the storyline. And I feel that his heel break is way better than his face run has ever been. And how his matches with Aleister Black and Tommaso Ciampa have just showcase what wrestling is and what it will become. And so he's my number five pick for that reason.
He has had a great year. I do agree with you. His matches with Tommaso Ciampa have been awesome. I told Chad that my favorite of the matches was in Chicago, the street fight. I really enjoyed that one because of the style that they incorporated, the creativity. No, it may not have been the technical match a lot of people may have wanted to see, but still, to me, it was truly one of the best matches I have seen in some time. And you're right. He deserves all the credit in the world and an outstanding choice for number five.
And I couldn't agree more with that. And even his last standing matches and everything the guy touches really turns to gold. And my number four is very similar, but he's more on the indie side, and that's Effie or Effie. And I don't know if you know who Effie is, but Effie is one of the first queer openly wrestlers. And he's had an amazing run in Fest. And I don't think he's their champion anymore, but he had a decent run in 2018. And he's just had great matches with Su Yung and many other people, both men and women. And the guy he comes out in a very effeminate way, but he is a brawler and he means business when he comes out. And he had a fantastic match with Joey Ryan earlier this year before Joey Ryan got hurt. And that match just blew things away. And it was a very serious match. And Joey Ryan is known for doing comedy, but Effie kind of brought that side out and really showcased, and I feel like elevated Joey Ryan at the same time while elevating himself. And he also has that LGBTQ element going, and he's really showcasing that, that LGBTQ plus community is just as good wrestlers. And I think they're now starting to get a lot of attention, and he's at that forefront, and he's soon enough getting a TV deal because of everything the guy has done. And so he's really my number four for that.
That's an excellent choice. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do as a wrestler. Not only just get over yourself to an audience, to whether it's worldwide or within an arena, but also you're supposed to help your opponent get over as well, regardless of the outcome. And I couldn't agree with you more. That's an outstanding choice. I have seen his work over the year. That has shown to be something that's really people need to take notice, and not just because of the fact that he is part of the LBGQ, the gay and lesbian community and whatnot, but and not because of the fact that he has a in-ring presence as far as and that he comes into the ring with an effeminate style, which you and I both have seen over the years. That's something that's not new, that has been used before. But just the fact that he is breaking new grounds as a gay wrestler, and the fact that he's not just using that as a tagline, but also he's crediting more his in-ring style and his in-ring work and persona, even more so, that it's standing out to a lot of people, and a lot of people are taking notice.
And I think even to expand upon that, because I've had conversations with him, he gets a lot of hate, and then actually people see him in the ring and like, I'm sorry for saying hating you. And so he's going into matches where people have an opinion on him because of his lifestyle choice. And then later on, they say, I'm sorry, I was heated in the moment. You are a great wrestler. And I think that's something that really showcases how good of a wrestler he is. Because if somebody hates you, and you go out in the ring and then you show how much of a badass you are and how good of a wrestler you are, and then they're like, I really don't hate you, I apologize. I think that changes things, because I don't know how many wrestlers can do that. And I don't know if there's anybody else right now in 2018 and even going into 2019 that can do that.
Oh, that, like I said, that's an excellent choice, and you know what? I hope I wish nothing but the best of success for him. It looks like his future is on the way up, and I'm definitely excited to see where his career is going next.
And so my number 3, and she had a bit of a rough year, but I still think she had an amazing 2018, is Nixon Noel, also known as Tegan Knox in NXT. And the reason why I choose her is whenever she is healthy, she is arguably one of the best women. And I think she's the future of women wrestling. And just in the Mae Young Classic before she got hurt, she was putting on amazing matches. And that match before she got hurt, I believe it was with Toni Storm, was a great match between the two of them. And every time she sets in the ring, even and her teaming up with Dakota Kai, I should say, the two of them have just tore down the house whoever they face, when they face them. And the thing about Nixon is Nixon was supposed to / Tegan Knox was supposed to actually win the Mae Young Classic, and that's what it was supposed to be. And she was supposed to be the winner, because the prior year before she got injured, and she's been injured for the last 2 years with bad knees and torn ACLs, but she was supposed to win the Mae Young Classic, and there's a reason why she was supposed to do that, because she can hold her own every match. She's held her own, and she just has that charisma and that kind of spunk that she's supposed to have. And I think that she's the future of wrestling. And I think that in 2018, she shows that when she's healthy, she knows what she's doing in a ring. She knows how to win over a crowd. That means she knows how to turn heel against the crowd. And those matches, I mean, that last match before she was injured with Toni Storm, you could just see it. And even with the conversation she had with Triple H and how she was upset, you could tell that she loves wrestling and that she really loves this industry more than anything else. And I don't know how many wrestlers Triple H speaks to and that it's filmed, but clearly he and her had a very private moment that was filmed that kind of shows that respect. And Triple H is betting on her in many ways.
I'll tell you what, she is an outstanding talent, even in a sea of great lady wrestlers that are out there in both the NXT and the WWE. Her task is upon her, because you and I both know the list and the roster of great women's wrestlers in the WWE and NXT, from Shayna Baszler, Toni Storm, like you mentioned, all the way to WWE, Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. The list goes on and on and on. Yes, the task is set out in front of her once she gets healthy, but she does have the talent to be a standout personality when it comes to either the NXT or the WWE. So that is an excellent choice at number 3.
And then continuing with these women, I think Becky Lynch is number 2 by far. Just alone on Twitter, she wins it on Twitter alone, because that entire concept of the man, and then the challenging of Seth Rollins for the title of the man, and how that created a lot of buzz. And we talk about wrestlers getting over. But the fact that Becky Lynch got over on social media before, she even said in the ring, and she has this entire thing that people were talking about, an intergender match between her and Seth Rollins over the man title. And then she comes out and she's got this heel attitude and the turn on Charlotte. And, you know, it started with Carmella and how Charlotte stole the victory. And then she snapped on Charlotte, and then she beat Charlotte and she defended against Charlotte all the way up into TLC. And that entire thing with Ronda Rousey and how she gets punched in the face and she can't face Ronda Rousey. And then that entire storyline and all the way through since she won the title. I mean, she's been carrying the entire SmackDown brand. And she's really one of the reasons why a lot of people are only watching SmackDown right now, because her attitude, having this attitude where she's the boss, she's the man, she's the wrestler to beat. I think that's the only reason why she's at number 2, is because when you're carrying the entire blue division and you're the most interesting star on SmackDown, and that to some degree you're the most interesting star on Raw, and you're not even on Raw's roster with Nia Jax. The fact that Becky Lynch got Nia Jax over because Nia Jax injured her, I guess, fakely, or I don't know exactly how I would describe it, but it was an accident how Nia Jax injured her.
I guess the terminology is a hard way. As far as the injury is concerned, it was an actual unintentional busted nose concussion.
There we go.
So I think it's a hard way blow, is what best way you could say it. But still, Nia Jax, like you said, because of it, managed to go ahead, and it gave a little bit of a boost to her career and only perpetuated what Becky Lynch is doing right as well.
And even that plays into Ronda Rousey, and that plays into a whole other things. And the fact that Becky Lynch is over on Raw when she's a SmackDown star, and the brands are clearly divided except for Survivor Series, I think is the reason why she is so good. And she is really the top women's wrestler right now, because I don't know how many people can do that in WWE currently, and Becky Lynch succeeded at doing that. Not to mention that she is vicious with a chair or a kendo stick.
Well, I could argue with anyone right now that currently the most over wrestler in the WWE is not maybe a man, but it could be the man in Becky Lynch.
You're not gonna get a disagreement from me on that one. And then I guess number 1. See, number 1's tricky for me, and the one I want to say, some people might agree with, some people might not agree with it, but I want to say the Velveteen Dream. Every time the guy has an NXT takeover event, he just keeps on exceeding my expectations, and he's already won me over. But his match with EC3, his match really for the North American Championship with that ladder, all of his moves, the fact that, I think this year he had, call me up Vince on his tights was, I think, really, kind of a ballsy move. I think that his attitude inside the ring, how he's very ambiguous and he's really not gender specific, is also a nice touch to his character at this point. And he just has pure athletic ability, and he's got the whole package. And his match with Ciampa, I mean, the fact that I think he's only 23 or 24 at this point, and the fact that he brought Ciampa, who is at this point a veteran in the industry and arguably one of the best NXT champs out there, and he brought a fight to the guy, and he pushed him. And the fact that the Velveteen Dream has pushed the NXT champion and was legitly within milliseconds of winning the title and being the face, I think just speaks volumes of what the guy can do, what he's going to do. And I think that he's just the future. And I think that in 2018, he's proven that he's the future of this industry, of both high flying moves, of character, of being this mysterious force out there, having this persona that really fills up the room. When he comes out, you could tell that the entire arena is filled up with him. And not many superstars can do that. And you can tell whether, he's saying, call my name, or doing what he does best, which is, high flying, elbow dropping, or coming within milliseconds of a top NXT superstar in really his first opportunity. And the guy's only 23, which means he has plenty of time to even gain more experience. And that's why I think, because he's already great. And the question becomes is that within the next 2-3 years, I mean, he's going to be, I think, a world champion in WWE. And arguably, he's going to be the first Black and African American world champion in the modern era, because he's that good. And he shows that in 2018 with every single match he's done between EC3 and Ciampa. Those two matches just prove that he's ready within maybe a year to be a champion and represent the company, because the guy can represent the company both in promos, inside the ring, and outside the ring. And he's shown all that on social media as well, which is something that is very important in this age in wrestling, is to be also a social media champ just as much. And we were speaking about that with Becky Lynch. And so I think that's what Velveteen Dream has going on, I should say.
Well, Velveteen Dream is an excellent choice. I see him also following in that line when it comes to successful world champions, successful African-American world champions, such as The Rock, such as Booker T, such as Ron Simmons, all those great names that I just mentioned. I could see him following in their footsteps and making great waves once he gets the call up to WWE and be able to go ahead and make his own path, because I tell you what, he has got a world of talent. And seeing him firsthand, I just thought he was too thin, thought he wasn't sure he might have just a great entrance and that's it. But you know what? He got in that ring several times in 2018 and outperformed everyone's expectations. Like you said, he's young, he's got a lot of experience to actually still get. And once he gets that, the sky's the limit for someone like Velveteen Dream. Just excellent choice at number one. And I tell you what, that's a great list in the top 5 that you have right there.
I mean, they're arguably some of the best in the world. And I mean, there are so many others, but I think those 5 are really pushing it. And I know that a lot of them are WWE centric, but right now, I think NXT and WWE's roster is arguably the best. And I think they've produced the best wrestlers in 2018.
Well, that's an awesome list indeed. But before you head on out, Andrew, I got to ask you a question. You got to let us know out there exactly why your show, the Popanimecomics Lounge, is the show to listen to for everyone out there for obviously comic books, anime, and of course, pop culture as well.
So my show is a great listen to because I ask good questions, I ask tough questions, and I get to the heart of things. And I put a lot of effort and research into asking all my guests, whether they're voice actors, comic writers, artists, and I interview professional wrestlers. And we start at their origin and we go all the way through as much of their career as possible. And we talk a lot about feuds. We talk a lot about getting into characters, and we really explore kind of the get to know the voice actor or the comic writer or the artist or the wrestler and what inspires them, what drove them to wrestling, or what drove them to comics, and then how they really perfect their craft. And with wrestlers in particular, since this is a wrestling show, what we talk a lot about is we break down feuds and we speak about, hey, what was it like going up against this person? What was it like facing this person? You faced this person like 20 times. What is that like? And I ask a lot of interesting questions that I want to know the answer to. And since I'm a fan first, that means I'm assuming, and I hope everybody is with me on this, so we don't have to go spell out assume here, that if I want to know questions and I want to know what something's like with a wrestler, that other people want to know that too. And people feel comfortable and a lot of stuff gets revealed, and it's just a great show and it's entertaining and you get to learn a lot about wrestlers that you didn't know. And then when you go watch them on TV or you go see them in a show, you know something about them, you know what they're doing and why they're doing it. And in particular with somebody like Effie, we spoke a lot about LGBTQ wrestling, and he revealed a lot of stuff. And sometimes trends are coming before they come, and certain things might or might not be revealed on my show. So that's also another good reason, is that sometimes spoiler events, maybe 6 or a year out, are revealed on my show towards the end in, the self-promoting part of my show for all the wrestlers. And you might get a sneak peek of an idea of what's coming, and you can know before everybody else does.
Once again, it's the Popanimecomics Lounge, which you can find on SoundCloud today, plus also Apple Podcasts and many other podcast outlets. Andrew Davis, it's been great to have you on the show. Like to invite you back on again to come on the show at various points in time whenever you want to, or if I can go ahead and call upon you from time to time to hear upon your knowledge about pro wrestling, pop culture, and just anything that's on your mind. Looking forward to hearing more of your thoughts in 2019.
Anytime, and thank you for having me on. Just let me know whenever you want me on, and I'm happy to show up and continue to talk about wrestling, because I love this stuff.
All right, that's awesome. So great to have you on the show, and so great to have you part of the pop culture cosmos.